Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I just had this drop in my head. There was a phrase I heard even growing up, and it shows how powerful music is. But they used to say that music can soothe the savage beast. Music is powerful in the vibration that comes off of it and what it does to your energy. And she helps people feel better all the time through all different challenges, literally from just playing music. Stuff is real. Think about it. Whenever you're feeling, a little off, you put on a song, or hey, if you want to feel good, you put on a certain song. And we're going to talk about that today. And she's going to actually play for us in just a couple of minutes. She is Barb Sounds back with us. Hey, Barb, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How about you?
Very good. Very good. And we're going to talk about energy and essentially play for energy. Explain that.
Well, I mean, as anybody who's been following my podcast knows that, everything that we see as physical is actually made up of vibration, is made of energy. And that includes our physical bodies, includes our thoughts, it includes our feelings. And everybody else around us has that energy as well. The weather has that energy. So, and everything is all interconnected, right? So, you feel differently if you're in the middle of an earthquake or, a big, huge storm. You feel differently than you feel when it's like sunny out and warm, right? And our bodies are the biggest conductors of energy. Like our cells actually speak in frequencies, like to each other, right? And plants, you can listen to the frequencies of plants, which is pretty cool. But it affects us. And I think, one of the things is with people is we don't pay a lot of attention to our bodies, and our bodies are the biggest, conductors of energy. So when disease pops up or illness, we're like oftentimes surprised, like, oh, I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. But that's mostly just because we're not used to, feeling like, what is the energy in our bodies? Like when I wake up every morning, I do a body scan, and it's like, how are the different parts of my bodies feeling? Like, where's their pain? Where's their tingling? Where's their feeling looseness? Where's their feeling stuckness and, tension? And overall, what is my energy level? Because some mornings I wake up and I just want to leap out of bed and start doing things. And other mornings I wake up and I'm like, you know, and that's all because of like different levels of frequency, in
It's
our bodies.
interesting that you say that. Somebody said that to me recently, in that I had a hypnotherapy session about 3 days ago. And she was talking about paying attention to everything that happens, right down to an itch. So if you go like this, you go here. I guess she's very tuned into this. And she said, everything you do has a connection. So as I'm going through the session describing certain things, and she even had a little pointer thing, and you would put it to point at the itch. Yeah, I would point here. She goes, "Oh, yep, that itch represents blah 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 blah. That over there, that over there, whatever it might be." And it wasn't. I didn't tell her everything that I was thinking. She was picking up on it just from the itches. So to your point, the body scan, just to listen what's going on, because your energy is moving and it's representing something. And I'm talking about energy, and the camera just went off again. It's so weird. It's been happening today, but then again, I'm not surprised with an earthquake in the New York area. Mercury
there's a big
retrograde.
eclipse. Well, Mercury retrograde, but that happens all the time, and I think people tend to like get all stressed out about that. And lots of times, if you're in a good space to start with, Mercury retrograde doesn't really affect you that much. But we do have some like serious frequency and energy levels that are much higher from the coming eclipse that's going to be on Monday. And that's affecting. And see, that's where it's like awareness of energy, right? Because people are having all kinds of physical stuff happening. People are having emotional stuff happening, and you can't figure out with your brain, like, why am I feeling like this? Because like, nothing's happened in my life. And partly it's just those energies. So it's affecting like everybody in our bodies and our minds. And
It's also the intent, I think, and the energy that you put in and what you get from it. To your point, Mercury retrograde. I used to be like, oh boy, here it comes again. Here we go. And yeah, we need to back up our stuff, and I should be doing that because it affects technology. Um, but I had a court situation the other day, and I could have been thinking, it's not going to go my way. Well, I've had two during the Mercury retrograde of this situation, and it's always worked in my favor. And I think it's almost the intent that I put in, the energy that I put into it, thinking it's all going to work out. Don't sweat it, dude. It's all going to work out, and it did. In the direction I wanted it to go. Not a done deal, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's the intention, and that's what you do when you play.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's what the different instruments do, right? So, my instruments, according to what I feel of their energy, like the different gongs have different effects of my
Hmm.
energy in my body. And then oftentimes that's not the same as, the effects they're having on a client or a group that I'm playing for because, everybody's different. But, there's one of my gongs it is very, very good for like loosening physical stuckness. And then there's a gong that I have that is like totally emotional, like, right.
Ah,
So they do. And then there's one that connects you to the infiniverse kind of, and, you know, and so there's like and the bowls and the crystal bowls do. So my thing for today is like when you're listening, and everybody who's listening, when you're listening to me play, you can, if you want, keep your eyes open, like if you're watching the afterplay, like the video part of it. But just instead of like trying to let everything go, as I'm playing, just try to feel what's happening in your body, right? Like, are your hands starting to tingle, right? Is there heat? Is there heat appearing in different parts of your body, or coldness?
hmm.
And, can you feel anything loosening up? What part of your body is loosening up? And sometimes that's not a part of your body that you even noticed was all, bunched up, or is something, bunching up. So my challenge for everybody today is to listen to the mini sound bath and just see if you can feel. And nothing is good or bad. Like there's nothing that you're supposed to feel in your body, because your body is your own and it's unique. And so you're going to feel different things than I am, and that anybody else who's listening is.
Do you think, Barb, that it will? I guess my best description is enable us to hear our bodies better or feel, however you want to view that,
Totally.
by you playing.
Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
And it also does help us to be more aware of our feelings and our thoughts, but in particular for the body, because the body is what heals all of us. Like, so the body heals not just physically, but the body is the space where we heal emotionally and, and mentally, and as well as physically. Right.
Hmm.
So any frequencies that are happening, in your body, if you're aware of that, then you're kind of more aware of the whole shebang. And a lot of people say, and I think it's really true, that your body is the gateway to your intuition too. Like if you want to talk to anything spiritual, other dimensions, your higher self, your soul, all that kind of thing, you go through your body. You go through your heart, or you go through the top of your head, like so. And it's all energy movement, right? But if we don't befriend our bodies and be aware of stuff, then, then we're not really in good health, and we're not really living our fullest, because things are closed off, right? That we can't feel.
I want you to play.
Yeah.
I don't want to take
Okay.
more time, but it's interesting when you say all of this because we don't listen to our intuition typically because of all that's going around us and all of what's in our
Mm-hmm.
head. And a lot of us
Mm-hmm.
don't listen to our body to realize that there's stuff going on there that could be clues to how we're feeling, direction we're going in, and also medically, our
Yeah.
health. We don't listen. We,
Yeah.
you just don't listen.
Well, we don't, and we actually don't consult our body. Like when I was in cancer treatment, that's where I really, really learned how to communicate with my body. And a lot of it's centered around eating because it's hard to eat, when you're in chemo or any of the other cancer treatments. And I would, I had learned how to do the thing with your thumb and finger. And I would, my nephew would come upstairs, and because he was making dinner for me then, and he'd say, "What do you want for dinner?" And I'd go and I'd open the fridge and I'd say, "Okay, buddy, what do you want?" Like, then I point to things, right? And I do the little finger thing, and it would be like, some days my body wanted to eat chicken, other days it was like, no way. My body never wanted to eat eggs, and
I wouldn't even eat eggs now.
No, I don't eat eggs at all anymore, because when I actually consulted my body, and I used to eat a lot of eggs, probably too many. When I actually consulted my body and learned how to do that in cancer treatment, I realized that my body, like eggs, don't go well together with my body, right?
And the finger thing, are you talking about you feel?
Yeah, you put you make a circle with your one hand,
Right.
and then you pinch your thumb and forefinger, the other hand, and then you put it through. It's hard to see in the camera.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. I see it
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you basically, you can check what is yes and no. It's different for some people.
How are you checking what is yes and no by doing that?
Well, what you do is I ask a question, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, I'm asking my body now, am I excited about playing today? And then I try to bring my pinched fingers apart. And if it doesn't move, like if it doesn't open the circle in my other hand, that's a yes for me. So I just did that. And you can actually test it with your name. Like, is my name Barb? I get a yes. Is my name Susan? Like the circle opens.
I'm going to try that, because I also try and do this
no.
one where you make a link, right?
Yeah.
Like that. And then you put a finger in here. And if you can pull it through, it's a no. If it's a solid, true statement, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't break the chain, so to speak. But I've never tried yours.
I like the pincher one better, because sometimes if your hands are like, if they're a little bit damp or something like that, like it can slide. This way, nothing can move, like it can't slide open.
I get what you're saying.
This is going to stop me from playing if we just keep talking about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you for that. I'm going to try that. Something different.
So, yeah. And it has to be yes and no, right? But the good thing about yes and no, only talking to your body, is your brain doesn't get any time to make all the stories that we have in our head, right?
Right.
About things. You're asking your body, and it's just yes and no. You can't ask your body, like, how are you feeling about, the weather? Your body's not going to tell you that, but you can say, like, do you want to go out in the rain, body? Yes, no. Right? Do you want to have lunch right now? Are you hungry? Yes. And just that interaction just starts you. It just makes you, once you start doing it, it makes you just more aware. Sometimes you don't even have to ask, right? Sometimes you can feel like, this is like, I'm moving around too fast. My body needs to slow down.
So energy today we're playing for.
We're playing for energy, awareness of energy.
Awareness, right.
Really. So what I'm asking people to do is, I'm going to play just very shortly. I'm going to play just a couple of the different instruments, not all of them, and try to kind of be aware of what's happening in your body when I'm playing each of the different instruments.
Gotcha.
Okay, so here we go. These are the crystal bowls. This is the Divine Cosmos Gong. This is the Sri Yantra Gong. This is called the Deep Breath Gong. And this one is the Atlantis Gong. And this is a Zafir chime. And this is the Solfeggio chime. There we go. That's a little sample of the various things that I play.
I like how you call it a mini sound bath. I never thought of calling it that, but that's exactly what it is.
That's what
exactly
I call it in my head. It's a mini
Well, that's
sound
what
bath.
it is, you know, and
yeah, because I mean, you know, you can't, I mean, it's harder to get a deep healing when it's only 10 minutes. You know, usually you try to play for at least 20 or
right.
before there's big changes, like physically in the body and also mentally.
I noticed, I've never seen you do this before. Maybe I missed it, but you hit a gong
Yeah.
and then you tempered it. You touched it to like stop the vibration.
Yes.
I haven't seen you do that before. How come?
Well, because when I play and when I'm playing a sound bath, you know, one instrument leads into the other. So I oftentimes, you know, like oftentimes now, especially because the singing bowls are playing so powerfully, like, you know, I just let them go and I wait till it dies down a little bit, but then they haven't stopped vibrating yet, but then I play the crystal bowls, or I play one gong, or I play sometimes 2 or 3 gongs together, right? But other people play, and it depends on who I'm playing for. Like if I'm playing for somebody who's like seriously ill, and also especially people who are at end of life, I don't make it like a smorgasbord, you know, of one thing flowing into another. I let there be a lot of silence in between. So, I would play the bowls, and then that would last for 5 minutes just as they die down to nothing. And then I play something else, and then let there be silence in between, because the healing actually, it happens when the frequencies are moving, like, when I'm playing. But there's also a kind of a deeper level, not a better level, but just a different level of healing that happens in the silence afterwards.
I get that. And it's almost even for the mind, and this is the vibration that goes in, that you can process, gives you a moment to process it, because there's a lot going on there when you're playing. So, silence can be golden. We don't have to always fill it up. Why do we meditate? Right?
Yeah. So it depends. It depends on the energy of the person or people that I'm playing for too, right? So again, if I was playing for somebody who, is in a hospital, I'm not going to make it like loud and fast and layering one top of thing over the other, because that's too much. It's too much energy, right? It's like sitting in the subway beside somebody who's like all jittery when you're like super tired.
Right. I just want to relax.
Go away.
Let me relax. That was nice. That was sweet. Even though it was shorter than we've normally done. I see you play differently every time, which I find it very interesting. That was just a sample. I was just that you're at a party and somebody walked by with the appetizer. You just picked one thing off the plate. That's not the main course, the meal, which somebody can get. Do you still do the 30-minute introductory?
Yes, the consultation. Yeah. Yep. So people can go to calendly.com/Barb Sounds and book a 30-minute consultation. And then that's, where we kind of go over like what's going on with you. What do you, want or need? And then I do play some things for, especially if people are brand new and, don't know how stuff sounds.
What's wonderful in closing here? It's so peaceful to listen to it. But it's doing much more than just that energetically. And I can find myself drifting off. Like I try to focus, I find myself drifting off because our minds are always blah, 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 monkey chatter. And then I'll come right back. When you hit another note, it's like, I'm back focused where I should be. And that's the beauty of it. It's just I guess it's the energy that comes out of the next instrument where we've refocused now your energy and attention. Barb, always great talking with you.
Yeah, and I think at a certain point too, what happens is that your mind just goes, your mind shuts down, like, so that you're not doing that up and down in between the different sounds. You're just like kind of
floating,
super relaxed. Yeah,
floating. Or literally, you're in a bath.
Yep,
you're floating.
Yep.
Love it. Thank you so much, and we'll catch up soon. Okay.
All right. Okay.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.